The 401 Files explores the world of the unexplained, cryptids and more. Subscribe now to the 401 Files on YouTube. Join the adventure into the unknown.
Hello guys, and welcome back to the 401 Files, the YouTube channel where I, Ben, get out into these hotspot areas like where I am now and talk about strange phenomena. Things like UFOs and extraterrestrials, the paranormal, and even strange cryptids, things like dogmen and Bigfoot. Now, my views, my theories, thoughts and opinions may be different to yours, and that's totally cool. But if you do like what you see here and you appreciate the style of content I produce here on the channel, please do consider subscribing, sticking around and becoming a part of the 401 Files family. So I've been doing this for 6 years now and I get a lot of the same questions asked to me. And if you are new here, likely you will be thinking, why though? Why are you getting out into these areas? Do you expect truly to see something? Have your life altered and changed forever on the one time that you're out there filming for YouTube? And the answer is no, I don't expect to see anything. But if I don't ever get out, then I know one thing for sure, I never will see anything 100% of the time. So my only chance of experiencing something weird, as many thousands of other people before me have, is to get out into where those many other thousands of people before me have, and hope that I can document something. Are my videos full of jump scares and over-the-top editing? No, they're not. I do like, however, to create an atmosphere. I do like this to be enticing people to enjoy this content. So I will have creepy music. I will dive deep into some of my thoughts about these subjects. I do have a strong passion and a belief that these things are real and that weird things are happening. So if you can cope with that, if you understand that, you know, not every video is going to be edge of the seat stuff. This is literally a journey that's going to be around for many, many years of me actively getting out, seeking for these things, looking for these things. Then I think you'll enjoy the channel. So a lot of people who believe that, you know, cryptids could be here full time on this planet, living here, undetected, undiscovered. I have slight issues with that. I've aired those issues before in the past, and I'm more of a believer that they're not here full time, that they are coming from somewhere else, whether that somewhere else be here under the ground, under the surface, or from somewhere else out in space. However, when I look into thick, dense, wooded areas like this here, it's very possible that they could stay hidden. How they would move around without being detected and making noise, I guess they could move only at night, just lay up through the day. And that would make sense, because if you go through there, you know, who knows how far in that direction you could walk with it all being just like this, tightly knit, close together, and very, very dark. You could easily stay hidden and be elusive if you're living in somewhere like that.
The dark side of national parks is not something that is often spoken about. National parks can no doubt be unnerving, and as always, the further you venture into these areas, the quicker you'll realise just how eerily silent these parks can be. Legends and folklore seem to go hand in hand with these landscapes, and I'd be lying if I said that I was to never think about the cases of lost hikers, unexplained disappearances, and encounters with other supernatural beings. Because even during the day, a place like this can be still quite unsettling. Giant trees, ancient rock formations, and even towering cliffs all hold secrets left behind from my ancient ancestors. Ancestors who I can only imagine knew all too well about the supernatural elements that surround this area.
So recently, when I'm using the word cryptid, I don't know how I feel about using that word, because to me, the word cryptid means an undiscovered species here on this planet that is just elusive. You know, it's a native of this planet, but it's still yet to be discovered. And when I'm talking about cryptids in the way that I talk about them, I think of them more as being interdimensional, supernatural, paranormal, extraterrestrial, those things. Maybe things that aren't from this planet. But you know, there is a way around that. People talk about the octopus and say how the octopus might not be a native terran of this planet. It might have come here on the back of a meteorite, but it's so adaptable to this environment that it now calls this place home. And that could be the same for dogmen, that could be the same for Sasquatch or extraterrestrials. You know, they might not be native terrans of this planet, but they've crash landed here, or they've got here somehow thousands of years ago, and lo and behold, this planet suits them better than where they actually came from, and they are now residents here full time. So who knows? But when I say cryptids, just bear in mind that I'm not talking about a native species of this planet. It could be, I could be wrong, but just bear that in mind. I'm usually thinking along the lines of supernatural, interdimensional beings. I'm not sure what the hell that is, but it definitely doesn't look natural. I've seen things like this before, and usually when I've seen things like this, it's been in areas that are very, very definitely used for paranormal activity. Things like an altar for sacrificing birds and small rodents during seances and satanic rituals. So it looks very similar, very in line with those kind of things, but I'm not sure it is. I mean, it's just literally at the base of this wooded area. So yeah, I don't know, but it's definitely not natural. I know that much. That's been put there purposely. I'm just gonna lift this up 1 second. Ooh. I feel a bit weird just even touching this, because that's weird. Creepy, creepy, creepy. I mean, what the hell is that doing here? You know, when you walk into the woods, it's so easy to make your way through the woods like I am now, with my head down and trying to shield yourself from the branches, but every now and then it's just important to stop and look around, because you could easily be missing so much. I'm always curious whenever I see a big pile of rocks just in the middle of the woods, why that would be. I think I've mentioned this before on the channel, but I always have this feeling that I'm going to be the unfortunate soul who finds bodily remains, like human remains. I don't know why that is. I've just always had this feeling throughout the years of getting into these places that it'll be me that discovers someone. Touch wood that I don't, but it's just this weird sensation of, I don't know, I've had for a while. Looks like a fresh fox kill. Obviously a pigeon. I am full of hypocrisies. Like, I'm the biggest hypocrite there is around. I have no shame in saying that. And I think if you're not, and you feel like you've got it all sussed out, you feel like you've got everything figured out when it comes to these subjects, then you are really limiting yourself, because nobody has the answers. And if we're not second guessing ourselves and going back on things that we once thought, then we're not progressing, we're not evolving, and we're not making progress. For example, you know, I used to get really annoyed when people would move the bar, always, like, especially in the Bigfoot community. Why have we never found a body? Oh, well, because of this, that, and the other. Why can't we pick any of these creatures up on a game camera? Oh, well, you know, they're aware of the infrared. And it was almost like we were just trying to keep this phenomena alive by making excuses up for them. And I was like, that's just so ridiculous. Like, maybe these things don't exist because surely something would have been produced by now. And, you know, that was my mindset. And it would wind me up when anybody would move the bar and try to give an explanation for why these things haven't been seen. But then, on the other side of things, if you look at the Nimitz encounters, these UFOs only started being spotted and detected because they had an upgrade in equipment. So maybe people are right. Maybe, you know, these game cameras have infrared and Sasquatch is aware of the infrared being emitted from these cameras, so he stays well aware. And who's to say that in, like, you know, or who knows, in the next 5-10 years, a new style of game camera might come out, much like they did in the Nimitz encounters, where they upgraded the equipment. The technology might be different in 5 years from now, and lo and behold, now these creatures are being seen everywhere. You know, this is the mindset that I'm in constantly when I talk about these subjects. I'll say one thing and then I'll counteract it with another thing. You know, I believe a certain way is right, but then I'll debunk myself 2 days later, and that's just the way I am. And I think everybody should be doing that. Everybody should be questioning their own ideas. I have core values, I have core beliefs that I stick to, but I'm always open to them changing, always, because I don't know anything. I literally don't know anything, and I'm a person that's had experiences firsthand. I've had experiences with the paranormal for many, many years. I also experienced something growing up that was extraterrestrial, to my knowledge. So, yeah, for someone like me who has had experiences, quite intimate experiences as well, like, you know, these were up close and personal. It wasn't just like I heard a voice off in the distance or saw a shadow across a field. These things were really enough to shape the course of my life. And even me, with all that said and done, I still don't know anything. I know no more than a person who hasn't had an experience. The only difference between me and a person that hasn't had an experience is that I know that they're real. You know, when I look into places like this, and I think about the amount of UFOs that have been seen in places like this, which is just an area, it's a landscape that's so normal to me and you here on Earth, people might think it makes no sense. Like, why the hell would some sophisticated, highly intelligent beings travel from wherever they have in space to land in a place like this? And I get where you're coming from. I understand it. It doesn't make any logical sense. You know, why would they waste all that time and energy, commitment to come land in an area that's just like this, just a wooded area like many here on Earth? But then I think to myself, why would we spend millions of pounds to land a sophisticated piece of technology on a far out meteorite to mine it for its minerals? Because it's something that we need. It's something that is valued here on this planet. Maybe not to other planets. Maybe they live in abundance of whatever it is that we're trying to achieve, we're trying to mine. And so they look at us and think, why? Why are you doing that? But we do. I mean, if we could get to some of these meteorites that hold valuable minerals and resources, you know, we'd all be fighting over who gets there first. So it might seem crazy, but these things happen. And it could be something stupid. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this, but wherever they live, they might want trees, they might want wood. Now, to us, that might seem very simple. It might seem illogical, but how important is a tree? Think about this, like that is just, you know, oh, it's a tree. This is the life source of everything that we know on this planet. This is what breathes in the carbon monoxide and releases out oxygen into the air that we then breathe to sustain life. So really, the simplistic thing that I'm looking at here, that you walk by every single day, no doubt, and don't give a second thought, is the bloodline of everything we know. And so really, it is super important. Because without it, I wouldn't be standing here right now in front of this camera talking to you guys, and you wouldn't be at the other end of this camera listening to what I have to say. So this is weird, right? You know, now for the longest time I've been documenting these balloons I find, and you know, at first there was nothing really to it. It's just, oh my God, here's another balloon, here's another balloon. But those numbers started to get really, really high. Like every month I was finding multiple balloons, like 5, 10 balloons. And people would say, and rightfully so as well, it's logical, it's common sense, people would say, yeah, well, obviously someone's released a balloon, it's floated through the air and it's landed and you've just stumbled across it. But what about this? So walking along, and I see this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but stuffed under all the dirt at the very base of this root system is a blue balloon. I have no idea how that balloon is wedged that far under. I just don't get it. It makes no sense to me. And I'm trying to be as logical as I can here, but I have no idea. Why do I always find them? Surely the wind did not do that. And as I always say, I always have to clear this up with a disclaimer by saying that I'm not insinuating this is anything untoward. I'm not saying that this is cryptids or extraterrestrial or paranormal or anything. I'm just saying it's very, very strange that my path always seems to cross where there is a balloon. In those places where there are balloons and my path crosses it, it's always in the most ridiculous places or really remote places. I have no idea, guys. I have no idea. Horrible time of night because it's dusk, the eyes are adjusting, and to make matters worse, it started raining, which gives you this low-laying haze. And it's horrible because signposts, trees, stumps, root systems, anything that you may see protruding upwards or standing vertically up from the ground can easily startle you and look like a person standing off in the distance. On a clear day you wouldn't have that problem, obviously, but with this low-lying haze, this mist that's been created from the rain, and the fact that it's now changing from day to night, the eyes are just like, what the hell was that? Yeah, so I've had a few jump scares just walking through these woods. One of which was just a sign. It was, you know, it was a signpost for a car park or something like that, off in the distance. But it looked to me, in my mind's eye, as though something was waiting to creep from the hedgerow, the wood line, to make its way across the road. I had to stop and wait to see if this thing moved, and then it twigged. Actually, I think that is just a sign. But yeah, these are the things that you're up against when you're out here investigating strange phenomena. Sometimes it may come across as strange phenomena. It might be creepy as hell, give you a jump scare, your heart gets racing, but it's nothing other than optical illusions created by the weather and your own stupid brain. It's really weird, the relationship that I have with Lily. We seem to have this bizarre understanding. It's like this unspoken language. Because when nightfall comes, or the rain picks up, or there's a thunderstorm, she doesn't run away. If it's a glorious sunshiny day and we're out in the forest, do the day, she'll get on the scent, she'll disappear for a while, and she'll find her way back. She always finds her way back as well. That's something that really baffles me, because sometimes we can venture off into places that I've never even taken her before, and she could be gone for 10, 15, even 20, 30 minutes. And I don't hold up. I'm not going to lie. I don't hold up. Sometimes I'll shout her. I don't stop doing what I'm doing. And yet she always, always, always finds me back. People forget that their nose is insanely good. Like, they're sniffer dogs for a reason. They can sniff people, drugs, money, any contraband, you name it, they can smell it from God knows how far away. They're absolutely amazing creatures. But this unspoken language, this unspoken bond that I was just describing, she won't do that. Come nighttime, like now, she's right by my side. If I call her now, she'll be straight here. I can see her at the end of this track. She stays very, very close when it comes to nightfall, as opposed to when she's out exploring through the day. I've never taught her that. That's not something that I think you can install. But even animals, I guess, understand that the change between day and night is reason for concern. There's a high level of anticipation that needs to be installed. You can't just start cutting around once nighttime comes like you would do the day. That's when accidents happen, that's when people go missing. That's when dangers lurk around every corner. So I'm kind of glad that Lily's on the same page as me, the same wavelength, and we have this understanding that, you know, I don't think for a second that she's scared. I don't think that's what it is. I don't think she's sticking by me because she's terrified or anything like that. I just think that she's more concerned for me, and she wants to keep a close eye on where I'm going, what I'm doing, and who's coming up to me during these late hours through the night.
A lot of you here share a very similar mindset to myself, and for those of you who don't, it's refreshing to see that you are still open-minded enough to be at least a little bit intrigued by another person's belief system. For this reason alone, I want to thank each and every one of you for venturing down this rabbit hole with me into the world of the unknown. Just knowing that I have an ever-growing army of like-minded people behind me during these videos is what really makes this journey worthwhile. We don't all have to agree, and we certainly don't all have to have the answers, but what we do need to accept and agree on is that for the longest time we have been living in a world that is purposely designed to keep us all in the dark. We are being spoon-fed false information regarding the world around us, and not everything is as it seems.